San Francisco is one of the United States' top most visited cities. Recently completed there in 2022 is the Presidio Tunnel Tops. The Presidio Tunnel Tops is San Francisco's new 14-acre park. It's got over 11 new and exciting spaces to explore. The Presidio Tunnel Tops is accessible, inclusive, thoughtfully designed, and 100% free for everyone. Tunnel Tops is completely reshaping San Francisco and the Presidio by reconnecting the historic heart of the Presidio to the natural waterfront. My name is Christopher, and welcome to Alt-Arc, where we offer you an alternative perspective on all things architecture and design. This is a map of the Presidio, and these are 11 new attractions that have been recently constructed for you to explore. Let's take a journey together around the park and check out everything it has to offer. First, every amazing journey needs a good origin story. So, what's the story behind the Presidio Tunnel Tops, and why is it so important to everyone? Let's go back. For over 10,000 years, Native Americans have called San Francisco Bay region home. Before the arrival of the Spanish, the San Francisco Peninsula was occupied by a people known as the Ohlone. Archaeological evidence indicates an Ohlone presence at the site of the Presidio by about 740 AD. Ohlone people were organized into over 50 societal tribes. It's suggested that small villages were maintained along the marshlands and in locations that include today's Fort Mason, Crissy Field, and Sutro Baths. Today, descendants of the Ohlone people live throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. If you'd like to learn more about the Ohlone people, check out the links in the description below. From 1776 to the early 1800s, the Presidio was the Spanish Empire's northernmost military outpost, and they guarded California's largest harbor from Russia and Britain control. From the early 1800s to 1846, the Mexican army migrated their forces further north, and a caretaker was left at the Presidio to watch over the grounds. The United States then took over the post during the Mexican-American War in 1847. Over the next 150 years, the base evolved several times and served as a central defense system for the coast, the Indian Wars, the Spanish-American War, all the way to the end of the Vietnam War. The Presidio played a strong role in defending San Francisco. It was in 1874 when it became a post by General McDowell. He planted trees in an effort to create windbreaks and to beautify the grassy hills. He created roads and constructed concrete infrastructure to preserve the native plants. In 1989, the Loma Prieta earthquake struck San Francisco with a magnitude of 6.9, emitting from the Santa Cruz Mountains. The earthquake collapsed a portion of the Bay Bridge. It killed 3 people and it injured 3,757 people. On top of that, it created about $6 billion worth of damage. Doyle Drive Bridge at the north side of San Francisco, which was a major transportation artery since the 1930s, that also collapsed during this earthquake. Finally, in 1994, the post was no longer needed by the military and the park was transferred to the National Park Service. Soon after, Congress created the Presidio Trust, which is a federal agency that's required to help preserve the cultural and natural elements of the park. Old military housing is now available to the public to live in, and the entire Presidio is now a large, open national park just waiting to be explored. Michael Painter was a designer of the parkways in the Presidio, and he said that if they use a tunnel, they could then one day place a park on top of the tunnel for people to use. This would connect the Presidio to the lower areas of Crissy Field. More than 30 years later, that vision by Michael Painter was finally realized. The Presidio Tunnel Tops is the perfect combination of history, nature, and some of the best views that you can find around all of San Francisco. The Tunnel Tops is organized into 3 landscape zones. Let's start with zone number 1, which is a large plateau above the tunnels, standing proud above the shimmering waters of the bay. It stretches out from the historic military housing of the main post and into the sunlight, leveraging a breathtaking 360-degree panoramic view of the best San Francisco has to offer, including the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz, Hills of Marin, Palace of the Fine Arts, portions of downtown San Francisco, and if you turn right back around, you get an amazing view of the Presidio itself. Out of the new 11 spaces that Tunnel Tops has to offer, zone number 1 includes the Presidio Plaza, the Campfire Circle, the Meadows, and Picnic Place. The Presidio Plaza is a gathering space to rendezvous with friends and family and to plan out your time at the Presidio. You can grab a bite to eat or head over to one of the local food trucks. The plaza is right next to the Visitor Center and the Presidio Transit Center, which is also the central hub for public transportation in out and around the Presidio. Located towards the edge of the tunnel tops is the Campfire Circle. This is where you can pop a squat and enjoy your meal from the food trucks. Also, you can hang out with around 75 more people around a central gas fire pit. Rangers will hold small gatherings here, and it's a great place to host a small event or community get-together. The Campfire Circle is surrounded by a landscape of large rocks, soon to be large trees, and shrubbery that offers a great splash of local greenery with an intent on becoming a windscreen in the future. The Meadows are a large grassy area surrounded by gardens. This area is very inviting, and I always see it occupied with children playing and groups having a picnic. The gardens are full of tall native grass and perennials. The Meadows is best used as a picnicking area and a place to lay out in the sun, also just to hang out with friends and family. Picnic place is where you go when you're hungry and just want to cook out or grab a bite from the local vendor. There are barbecues that are reserved, and the large tables are built to host large groups of people. Zone 2 is our next stop, where we'll visit the Ciffwalk and The Overlooks. The Ciffwalk and The Overlooks are about 30 feet above Crissy Field, and it is my favorite 2 attractions because it features long, winding trails, exciting furniture to explore, and a series of vantage points carefully curated through the movement of the paths. I think the most memorable installment is a massive seating along the Ciffwalk. I realized how carefully crafted they were. The wood is sanded and conditioned to be very smooth, and the spaces between the pieces of wood are spaced for comfort so you don't feel them. The benches take their geometric cues from the surrounding landscape, the water and hills to be specific. When cypress wood dries, it takes on a shimmering quality, which makes these benches very fitting to be out in the sun next to the incredibly scenic views of the bay. The final zone we're going to explore before we dive into the design of the park includes the Presidio Steps, the Outpost, the field station, the learning labs, and lastly, the Courtyard. If you want to move from the Overlook and the Ciffwalk down to the Outpost in style, then you should bounce down to the Presidio Steps. They're an expansive series of occupiable grass steps that again are great for relaxing and taking in the views. The Outpost is a playscape that's great for children. The play area is composed of a sand pit, hollowed out logs for kids to crawl through, a gigantic driftwood log with half-trimmed branches reaching out, boulders for climbing, slides, swings, and an oversized rendition of an oriole's bird's nest for kids to ascend and claim control of. The Outpost is a playscape that is safe for children of all ages. The field station is a perfect drop and to experience something that is not quite a museum, but it's also not a classroom. It's an amazing learning experience where kids can see the Presidio through art, science, and even smell and taste local Presidio plants. They draw butterflies, touch crawfish, and even see historic maps of early explorers. The tunnel tops expand the Presidio's 20-year-old learning center facilities into a new lab and classrooms, as well as renovating and upgrading the already existing learning lab building. This allows them to educate more people and children than ever before. The Courtyard is an outdoor space nestled within the field station, the learning lab, and the Crissy Field Center. Like the Presidio Plaza, you can have barbecues, picnics, events, and just about whatever you would like the flexible space to become for the community. With all these new additions, it's very easy to see that it can have a very positive effect on San Francisco residents. The construction of this park has been very long awaited, and the designers really did deliver on this one. As I move through the park, I can really see the amount of attention to detail and the great deal of perspective that went into creating this park. Michael Painter spent over 2,000 hours of his time, a lot of it pro bono, to refine the design of the new Presidio Parkway that would replace the previous Doyle Drive Bridge that was destroyed in the Loma Prieta earthquake in 1989. After 3 years of constructing the new bridge, automobiles were allowed to start using it. Around this time, the Partnership for the Presidio launched an efficient campaign to ask the surrounding community what they would want a park at the tunnel tops to be like. They hosted an international design competition so they could determine a good design team to work with, and yep, they settled on a well-known James Cornerfield Operations. This is the same firm that worked on the High Line in New York, the Underline in Miami, and countless other ecologically intelligent projects around the world. They are landscape architects and urban designers that are world-renowned for their innovation and creative outlook on public spaces. Altogether, the Presidio Trust, Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy, the National Park Service, and James Cornerfield all designed the project collaboratively with the community. Thousands of people dropped their comment cards off at the design labs. The Presidio hosted walking tours of the site, and there is also a webpage to send in your thoughts. On top of all of that, the design team held 14 public workshops with residents in neighborhoods all over San Francisco where everyone was welcome. Approximately $118 million total to realize the dream for San Francisco and tourists from all over the world. Public parks encourage active lifestyles, they strengthen local communities and economies, they create some job opportunities, and if they're designed properly, they can help the city to be more resilient. They increase community communication, reduce crime, and they can create an equitable space for everyone to be human and enjoy the spaces that they deserve. The Presidio is a historic and intriguing national park which encompasses dense forests, accessible beaches, old military housing, and it proudly serves to be an enriching natural landscape that welcomes people from all over the world. If you like the video, please like the video and subscribe down below to see more content just like this. Over there are 2 videos that I think you'll really enjoy. And if you want to support a small architecture channel like this one, check out the Patreon. I have it linked in the description below. Regardless though, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.